Welcome back to the Writer's Workshop, where we give you the tools to unleash your creativity and flourish. I am Lady V.
And I'm Alice Brown.
And today we are joining ourselves back for part 2 of the do's and don'ts for selling your book in person. So today we are going over all the don'ts.
Don'ts, yes.
And Alice has compiled a nice list for us on the don'ts list.
Now this is mainly if you are selling at outside markets, whether that be craft fairs or street fairs or whatever have you. But a lot of these rules also apply to a lot of indoor shows as well.
So regular book signings or convention centers that you set up at, all that stuff. So let's get started. The first don't is don't take too much when you go to your first few shows. The important thing is to make lists, and you might actually make multiple lists before you go to a show. But write out everything that you know you're going to need, from, if you're an outside show, your tent, your weights, your tables, to an indoor show of making sure that you have plenty of pins and, mints to sit on your table. You don't want to take too much and be overburdened at your booth and make it look cluttered.
Very true. The next one is, don't come across to your other vendors or authors as better than they are. That will not get you any favors at all. That will quickly put you at the bottom of the list, and you don't want that. Come across very congenial, very nice, very, hey, we're all here together trying to make a buck. Because basically that's what it is.
You want to make sure that you also come across with a very positive attitude.
Yes.
Your positive attitude is infectious to the people who enter your booth.
Yes, it never ceases to amaze me. I watch people walk into our booth and they're just like,
humdrum.
No, just, I don't really want to be here, but there's nothing else to do. And by the time they walk out, we've got them laughing, we've got them smiling. It helps. Whether they buy anything or not, that's immaterial. You've lightened somebody's day, and that means a lot.
One of my favorite things to do at a show for kind of lightening the mood is to tell jokes. I mean, they're not the greatest jokes, but they're light jokes. One of which happens to be when selling our Dragons of Dragonos books is all the dragons are looking for new homes because they're tired of fighting my cats for cookies.
Yep.
You know what? It does the trick. It makes people laugh. It gets them intrigued. And they pick up the book and read what it's about. Do not wait until the last minute to set up. This drives me nuts. I can't tell you how many times that we're next to a vendor and they wait until the show opens to come and set up. It drives me absolutely bonkers, because then they're walking into our space, bumping into our stuff, trying to get all their stuff set up properly, where that should have been done prior to the show opening and you didn't already have people and customers walking around.
Another idea is, even before the show and before the setup, do a mock setup at home. That way you know where everything's going to be placed. Do a mock setup and then take pictures galore, so that you can go back to those pictures at the day show and go, oh, wait a minute, I had the books over here and I had, stuffed animals over here, whatever have you. A lot of times people get harried, they get, rushed, trying to set up for the show.
I'm very much that way.
And then you forget where everything's supposed to go. Well, I had this figured out at home. Take pictures. It's the easiest way of doing it.
Most of the time when we go to a show, my mind's already focused on the actual show itself, making sure everything's set up. Do we have everything in our office bags? So remembering the exact placement of where the books went and the sticky notes, it's not really going to stick with me.
I love the shows that we do that allow you to set up the day before. Now, not all the shows we do provide that, and almost none of the outside shows. There were a couple, but very few that would allow you to set up the day before. When you can, though, it is well worth it, because then you can take your time. You're not in a hurry, and let's face it, you can sleep an extra hour to 2 hours the day of the show and not have to get up at 3 o'clock in the morning to make sure you're set up and ready to go.
Even if your show does not allow you to set up the day prior or the night prior, make sure that you allot yourself a few extra minutes when setting up in case something goes wrong, or even if this is your first time and you're a little bit frazzled, to take a few minutes after everything's set up to take a step back, take a deep breath, and recompose yourself. If you start that show already erratic and hectic and frazzled, that is going to feed off into your customers, and people are going to feel that without even walking into your booth.
And you will watch them just walk right on by, because people that, especially empathic people, tend to pick up on your feelings very easily. The next word of advice would be, don't go into major debt at first on your shows. Yes, there are things that you need right from the get-go, and they cost money. A tent, or weights, tables, tablecloths, all that stuff. But rather than going out and buying everything brand new, see if there's a friend you can borrow some of that stuff from, even if it's just half of the list that you can borrow, at least for the first show or two, until you make sure this is something you want to get into, keep at full time, and eventually make your money back from all the money you're laying out to do the shows.
We actually have a friend who is starting a business themselves, and we told them up front, look, if you're going to start doing these shows, do not go out and waste your money on a tent. Borrow ours, borrow our weights, and see if this is actually something you want to work with.
Exactly. That alone will save them a couple $100 right there. So.
And let's be honest, when you're starting a business, whether you're just an author and independently publishing your books, or you're a crafter and you're wanting to get out and sell your crochet, a couple $100 goes a long way.
Yes, yeah. Well, and even so, like the weights. The weights we use are barbells, and they can get expensive because you need at least 50 pounds on each tent leg to be able to hold that tent down good. But I have seen people use milk jugs filled with sand or water or something. True, it doesn't make up the 50 pounds, but
it's something.
It's something is better than nothing.
The next one is, don't set your expectations high. Keep the bar low. Yes, you want to cover your expenses, that's a given, but know that it's going to take time to build up a fan base or a customer base with whatever you're selling. So leave room for adjustments, and know that you're not going to make $1 million at the first show that you do. I have a friend that loves to always text me right before a show, make $1 million. Yeah, I'd love to, but it's not actually feasible.
No, it's not.
But it puts me in a good mood, it makes me smile, and it sends me on my way.
It does. And as time goes on, I mean, I can look back to our very first shows and the money we made then versus shows now, and there is a huge, huge difference. Because we have put in the work, we have built the fan base, we have people contacting us before each show going, are you going to be here? Yes, we're going to be here. Okay, I'm coming to see you. That all takes time, and literally we've been out this for several years now. So don't get disheartened. If your first show is a complete bust, take and sit back for a moment and try to figure out why. Was the crowd just not there? So that is not your fault at all. If you go to a show and nobody shows up, that is entirely out of your hands. Now, you go to a show and the crowd does show up, then you have to stop and look and go, okay, why are they not buying? How many people actually came into my tent? How many did I talk with? Versus how many people did I talk with and then bought? And try to figure out your problem from there. If they walked right by your tent and never stopped, then I would take a look at your setup and see if there's something that can be tweaked or changed to make things better. And there are plenty of groups out on Facebook that will gladly, of just vendors, that's all it is, crafters and vendors, that will gladly help you. Take some pictures of your setup, put it on those groups and say, hey guys, I'm just getting started here, I need some help. What can I do to draw the crowd in? And they will help you.
Another way to kind of gauge how your customer to person walking into your booth ratio is get yourself one of those clickers. We did that when we first started, and so we kept track of how many people came in and that we actually talked to versus how many people bought, and that helps you kind of gauge where you need to be at.
Yeah, because most of the time your people running the show will give you an estimate on how many people were at the show. They won't give you exact numbers, and that's fine, but you can judge whether it's a couple hundred or versus a couple thousand. And so we would look at shows at the beginning and go, okay, that show had somewhere between 2,000 and 3,000 people. We had 500 people come into the booth. Okay, what is our sales ratio? Take the sales and break that down into the 500, or better yet, take that 500 and break it down into how many people were there to see where we need to change and what we need to do.
Yeah.
It does work. The next do not do is a personal peeve of mine, and that is do not smoke in your area. Do not smoke near your books. The paper is porous. It will pick up the scent, and whatever you do, do not smoke near anybody else's stuff too, because believe me, you will make enemies very, very quickly. These people that do crochet and anything with cloth, even clothes, is going to absorb that smell, and so people don't want it. And I'm sorry, but if you were a smoker, take it outside, away from the show, completely off premises, go out to the parking lot or whatever.
And unfortunately, I know a lot of people will argue this point, and this is a hill that I will die on. Vaping counts.
Yes.
For somebody who has a very sensitive nose, even somebody who vapes, I can smell the remnants on my books or anything around me afterwards.
Yes. It's bad enough that you're going to have people, if you're at an outside show, you're going to have people walking by that are going to be vaping and smoking, and there is nothing you can do about that. But you don't need to add to the problem. Okay, and last that we have to go over today is financials, and I want to delve into that for just a little bit. The first do not give out true financial information to other vendors. You will find a lot of crafters and vendors walk around towards the end of the show when things are dying down and go, hey, how did you do today? And that is normal. We've done it too. But most of us that have been in the field long enough know better than to give an actual figure. Okay, we give generalizations, and we do this on purpose because, quite frankly, it's nobody's business. So we will come along, and an example of that is this.
Hey, Alice, how'd you do today?
I had a pretty good day. We really, the weather was beautiful, and the crowd was here, and yeah, we covered expenses and made a little bit more. So yeah, I can't complain. How about you?
I did pretty good. I was happy with the turnout.
Good.
I'm glad to hear you did great.
Yeah, so am I. Good going. Or it may end up being something like this.
Alice, how'd you do today?
I don't know what in the world today was all about, because nothing was there. I mean, crowds were down, and we didn't have nowhere near as many people stop into the booth as we usually do.
Attendance definitely was down today.
Yeah, I mean, I covered expenses, but, I guess I can't complain, but, that was about it. Better luck next time. How about you?
It was a bit rough. I didn't do as well as I had hoped to, but I'm like you. I covered expenses today, and so therefore I'm happy.
Good. I'm glad to hear it. As you notice in these two examples, we did not give dollar figures at all. There was a reason for that, because again, it is nobody's business. The other do not that I want to go over that seems to be prevalent, especially in the crafting world, is do not think that you have made a profit without plugging in all of your expenses. And a good example of that is I hear all the time, oh man, I made $100 today. I just made a $50 profit because, the booth only cost $50. No, you did not.
How much did it cost you to buy the yarn for your crocheted stuffed animals?
Exactly. If you have to take the cost of goods. If you're selling books, you paid to have these books printed. That has to be taken in consideration. So if you sold 10 books, and those books sold at, let's say, $15 a piece, but you paid $8 for the book to get printed by the time you paid for the book and shipping, that all has to be taken into consideration. You sold 10 books times 8, that's $80 that needs to come out of the profit. The other things that need to come out of the profit are any food, gas. Gas is a big one. Food. Now, yes, these are write-offs at the end of the year, but they also need to be taken in consideration as to how much profit you made. And it drives me nuts, especially on crafters, when I hear them say that they made a profit without taking any consideration into the cost of materials whatsoever. And I'm like, again, it drives me nuts. Just like it drives me nuts to hear the little old lady go, well, I'm not in it to make the money. I just want to make enough money to go buy some more yarn. And I'm just like, okay, I understand that. But at the same time, I know that there is a bunch of us out here that are actually trying to make a business out of this, to make a living out of this. But it is what it is.
That's going to do it for today. We hope that you enjoyed this video. If you did not watch the part 1 of the do's and don'ts for selling your book in person, please go check that video out. It will be linked here at the bottom. And we hope that you had a great time. We enjoyed talking about these pointers with you. And as always, never stop learning and never stop dreaming.